So I'm going to tell you the story about how I fell in love with coaching and the three major sparks that happened in my life that led me down the path of starting a private training business and being self-employed and going down this entrepreneurship rabbit hole that at this point, a lot of coaches that I've been able to work with, they've gone down the same path. But everybody's path is different. I want to share my story here, and hopefully this is something that can help you. Hopefully you can have a better understanding of really like where I started, how I developed things, and I know at this point in my life that if you're going to be successful with something, you have to love it. And if you're going to be trying to train kids and do that for a living, you have to have a pure heart. Otherwise, it's not going to work. I've seen too many people come in and out of this industry that say they like helping kids, but they don't actually like helping kids, and they're unable to actually have a successful business because of that. It comes down to where their heart is. So there's three different things that happened to me when I was younger that really got me into coaching. So the first, this happened when I was 17 years old. There was this coach who knew my mother, and he was unable to make it to one of his practices. He was the head coach, and he asked my mom if I could fill in and volunteer and come train these kids by myself. They were like 8 years old. I was 17, so I was very nervous. He said he'd pay me $50, and I was like, what? Like, you don't have to pay me $50, but he wanted to do that. So the day of the practice, I was at home and I was drawing out, like, what do I want to do with this practice? How do I want to help these kids? And I thought, because I had a lot of experience playing club soccer at that point, I thought, okay, I need to do something that's fun. I need to do something that is probably a little bit different than what they're normally used to. And I need to do something that, you know, they feel like they're individually getting better. Because I looked kind of back at my history of growing up playing club soccer, like everything is so team oriented. And I thought, you know, I need to do something that is going to help these kids individually, not just this team thing. So that was going to make the practice feel different for them. So I showed up, ran the session. It was like the fastest 90 minutes of my life. I thought it went really, really well. And I was like, man, this is awesome. Like, I cannot believe that I got paid $50 to go run this session. Like, it felt insane to me, and $50 for a 17-year-old kid for 90 minutes of work. It's hard to find something else to do to make $50 for 90 minutes of work. So I felt amazing. And I vividly remember the feeling I had when I left the field that night. I was like, man, like, this was awesome. I want to do more of it. And I had a lot of joy and a lot of fulfillment after I left the session. And it wasn't because of the money. It was because of, I could see within a short period of time, I could see the development of these kids from where they were, like when we started our practice, and where they ended 90 minutes later. I was like, that was really, really cool to be a part of that. And that was the first spark. It was running that session and just seeing how kids developed within a short period of time. And I had zero coaching experience before that. That was like the first time I'd ever done that. And really the only coaching experience I had before that was like, I knew how to like train on my own and get myself better and kind of lead my teammates that were on my club team, like, but not really, because I was kind of shy. So I had very limited coaching experience, but that was my first real taste of coaching a team environment. And that was when I was 17. And then a year later, I went to University of Memphis. I played college soccer there that year. And I will never forget this. This was like one of the most vivid memories I have. But during the season, one of my teammates, he was actually my roommate at the time. He was a year or 2 years older than me. He was like, hey, I'm about to go train these kids privately. Do you want to come and help me out? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I had no idea what he was talking about. Like private training, I never knew about that. This is back in 2006. So I was like, sure, I'll go with you. And we show up to this park like 20 minutes from where we lived. And I think there were like 6 kids there, something like that. 6 or 7 kids there. And he was like, yeah, like I run these sessions during the week for these kids, and we just work on like technical training. I was like, really? Like, how many kids are you training? And he had like, I think he had like, I don't know, like 30 or 40 clients or something like that. And this was someone who was 20 years old, making a really, really good amount of money doing this. And I had no idea he was doing it in the first place, but he just invited me one day to come with him and help him run the session. And that's where I had the feeling of, wow, I'm watching somebody who's really, really good at this. And he's training these kids. These kids seemed committed. I'd never seen private training in my life. This was the first time I'd ever seen private training within soccer. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I remember he paid me $30 after the session. I think he made like $200 or something. He made 30, or he gave me $30. And I was like, this is insane. I cannot believe people I couldn't believe that people are paying for his training. It was like, I couldn't believe that they were paying for this, because like there's club soccer. Like why would someone need to pay more for technical training when they could just, do this by themselves, or, just get the help they need at club. But this was a really pivotal time for me to see it, because I could actually see what this guy was doing, how he was doing it. And that was the first time my eyes opened up towards like, wow, like the first spark for me, I made $50. Second spark, I made $30. But I was with someone who made $200 for like an hour or 90 minutes. And I could see though that there was like this new idea, this new concept that parents would pay more for training outside of what they were doing with their own club. And they would pay someone like my friend, someone who is good, someone who knows the game, someone who can teach it. And that was my second spark, was just opening my mind towards the possibility. And the third spark for me, this happened about a year and a half later, so I was still in college. I trained this club team, and this is the first time where I was really committed to coaching, because I had to be there every Tuesday, Thursday, 6 to 7:30. Ran club training sessions for it was like a U11 team. And although I got paid very little, I saw everything I needed to see at that point in my life. I saw how much I loved helping these kids. I saw the development over 2 years. Like kids that are 11, 12 years old, when you're with them twice a week for 2 years straight, like you see a lot of changes, you see a lot of growth. You get as a coach, you get a lot of questions that kids ask you. You understand how to deal with parents. You understand how to better communicate with people. Like it forces you to just figure stuff out on the fly, stuff that you're probably not prepared for if you haven't done that. And that was a really pivotal time for me, because that was like a 2-year thing while I was in college. And I did the math. I was probably getting paid like $2 an hour with the amount of work that I was doing, coaching, talking to parents, emailing, dealing with parents. I mean, I have a lot of respect for coaches that do club soccer, because the amount of back end work that they do away from coaching is more than the actual coaching. So I got paid very little, but that's when things started to kind of solidify for me. And I genuinely thought, well, if I get more experience with club coaching, I can just work for a better club and get paid more. And I thought that was the path that I wanted to take, because yes, I was getting paid very little, but it was like I enjoyed it so much. Like I loved the team environment. I loved helping kids. And in the back of my mind, I was always thinking about my college roommate. I was thinking like, I wonder if he's still doing that. Because at this point I was at a different college. I transferred. I was like, I wonder if he's still doing that. And, you know, he's not having to deal with the parents of kids that don't get playing time. He's just like focusing on the training. And he's just helping kids develop and get better. He's not dealing with this back end stuff that I'm dealing with, that I ultimately am not getting paid for. And so this was always like floating in the back of my mind while I was doing the club coaching. So I did that for 2 years. And then when I graduated from college, I had a couple of different options. I was thinking about being a graduate assistant at a college, and I kind of nixed that one because I didn't want to go be in school longer. Even though it would have been free, I did not see myself being in school for 2 more years. I wanted to get out of school. I wanted to start some sort of career. And so I didn't want to do that. And then I had a couple of job offers for doing club soccer in San Antonio. And this would be like very entry point types of club positions, like just being a club coach for like 1 or 2 teams, making back then, at that time, it was like $300 per month per team. So if I had 2 teams, I was thinking like $600 per month. So like couldn't live off that. So I'd have to, you know, do that and get a job or something like that. And then I saw that there was an ad for this sports performance company. I'm not going to say the name of it because it's still around. And they were looking for an unpaid internship. And part of the gig was you don't get paid for 3 months, but if you do your job and you get you become a certified personal trainer through them, then you can get a paid position. And I think it was like 35 or 40 grand per month, or not per month, per year starting. And I was like, okay, like if I do that, I could probably do that and the club soccer. And like, you know, that'd be a pretty good setup for me. Like I would be able to provide for myself and I would still get to do this coaching. And with this unpaid internship, the job was like you're training athletes. So it was like right up my alley. Like you're training athletes to become faster, stronger, that sort of thing. But it wasn't like soccer specific training, which is kind of the thing that ultimately I wanted to do, was, you know, help kids develop and get better at soccer. So I got the internship. I did that for 3 months. And on the last day, part of the deal was they were going to help pay for my certification to become a trainer. And then if I did that, they would take me on and I would be able to work for them. But on the last day, the guy called me in, the boss called me in. He was like, hey, we don't have the money to pay for certification and we won't be able to take you on as an employee. And so I was like, what? I did all this for nothing. And it's exactly what happened. I did 3 months of work for absolutely nothing. And I remember feeling completely devastated. And I was like, okay, I did all that, got nothing out of it. And I wasn't, like, my plan was to like get the job, then commit to club coaching, because with the way it worked, it was like a summer thing, so club wasn't happening. So I was like finding other ways of making money during that time, during the internship. So it was like I was working a lot, barely making any money. And I will never forget what happened though. I drove home that day, and my dad, he was like, hey, like, you know, there's probably some kids out there that would want to just work with you one-on-one. And it was so funny when he said that. I immediately thought about my roommate that I had when I was in college. I was like, yeah. And then I was like, but like I had all these limiting beliefs, like, but like, you know, how do you start a business? But how do you get clients? Like it was like all of these things started to cloud my mind, because I didn't really know how to do anything other than coach. Like if someone had clients, I could go coach them, but I didn't know how to get my own clients. And the way it worked out was, I mean, at the end of the day, looking back, it was just amazing how things actually worked out for me. But someone got in contact with my dad and didn't even know that I was offering training, but they told my dad about their kids and how they play soccer, and my dad told the person, like, yeah, my son's thinking about getting in training, like, could he come over and train your kids? And that person got in contact with me. I literally would drive to their house. It took me 20 minutes to get to their house. I would go Tuesdays at 4 p.m. I'd show up at 3:50 because they would get home from school like right when I got there. They'd take 10 minutes to get ready. I met them in their backyard, trained them from 4 to 5. It was these 3 brothers. And when I would get done with my session, they literally had the money on the counter, and I would go get the money and then I would go home. And I did that. They were my first clients. So I would drive to them. I didn't have a location, didn't do any of that. And I remember, like, while I was training these kids, it was one of the best and also one of the most difficult experiences for me, because these kids, these 3 brothers, they were hard to train because they were really young. I wasn't used to training like a 3, 5, and 7-year-old. That was challenging for me. I hadn't experienced that. But the best part of it, and I would say honestly, this person changed my life, but the best part of it was their father. He used to run a really successful tennis training academy. And keep in mind, these were my first clients, these 3 kids. But he found out I was training their kids. But he wouldn't get home from work until a certain time, so like I wouldn't really see him. But one day he got home from work early, and he called me back into his office, and he was like, yeah, like, you know, do you have your business set up? Do you have this, that, the other? Like, he's asking me all these questions, and I was like, what is this guy talking about? Because I was just trying to get clients. I wasn't really trying to set things up professionally. And he was like, yeah, like, you know, I ran a tennis academy, and this is, you know, here's how I got customers, and here's how I did this. And this guy is the most positive human being I've ever met in my life. And like, within like 20 minutes of talking to him, I was like, wow, this guy is like on his game. Like, this guy is, I need to talk to this guy more. Like that's what I came away with. And so I would train it. So over the next couple of weeks, I would train his kids. I would talk to him. And I remember there was another session I was supposed to be at after I trained his kids. And he wanted to talk to me. And I called my client. I was like, I can't make it today. Like, I have something going on. And I spent that time talking with this guy. His name is Mike. And Mike completely changed the way I thought about everything. Coaching, business, dealing with people, how to communicate. Like, the amount that I learned within that short period of time training these kids, I mean, it was like a crash course to business. And again, I didn't really know what I was doing with my business. I just knew that I loved helping kids. I had those different sparks of coaching that led me to, you know, this point of going to train kids. And, you know, I just started from absolute scratch. And I was very fortunate to be around someone like Mike that honestly, like, mentored me. There's a lot of stuff in my personal life that was not good. So he came into my life at a perfect time. And after that, it was like, I started to understand, okay, how am I going to market myself? How am I going to actually charge people? How am I going to collect money? How am I going to do this as a real business where I can do this by itself, where I'm not doing this plus like other side jobs? Like, this is what I'm doing. I want to be a great coach. I love helping kids, and I want to do this as a business. So I started to spend more time thinking about it, talking to people, executing. And that changed my whole life, because now I could literally wake up and go train kids for a living. And it did not happen overnight. Like it took me time. And this was back in 2009, 2010, that time period. And I'll just kind of fast forward, right? Because like I don't want to sit on this video for the next 2 hours. But I did figure things out, and I did train a lot of kids. And I started with one-on-one training. Then I eventually transitioned into group training, and then I started hiring coaches, and I started scaling my business that way. We had camps, clinics, private training, group training, college consulting, every type of offer you could think of within the private training niche. I went after that. College recruiting consulting, like that. There's all sorts of stuff that I ended up offering that I knew how to do that could help the parents in my local community. And we went on to train thousands of kids. I ran camps in other states. I've done a lot of stuff within the industry, and it all happened because at an early age I developed a love for coaching, and there were so many times that I faced trials, tribulations, where I could have just been like, man, I can just go get a regular job. I don't have to deal with this level of stress, because if I just go get a normal job, I will have all my needs met, and I won't need to worry about money. But there was this thing in the back of my mind that I developed when I was really young. It was like, I would rather make less money doing my own thing and having complete control of my schedule, complete control of who I spend my time with. I'd rather make less money doing that than make more money and have someone tell me what to do all day. Tell me when I need to get to work. Tell me when I can take my lunch breaks. Tell me when I can go to the bathroom. It's like that to me. And again, this is my mindset. I don't tell people how to live their life, but I wasn't cut out to do that. I did not want to live that way. And there's nothing wrong with people that do live that way. If that's what they want to do, fine. Like, people live their life however they want. But for me, I knew I did not want that life. I wanted to do something that gave me true fulfillment, which was coaching, developing kids, mentoring them, seeing them develop, watching them get better, like see how they become as an adult. And I think that's been one of my favorite parts with coaching kids, is see who they develop over a period of time. Some of the kids that I started out training back then are like now in their late 20s. It's crazy. Like I've seen some of them recently. It's like the people that they become, that it blows my mind. And it's not because of all of my doing, but I know that I had a piece of that. I know that when you're a good coach and you help kids at an early age, that can really change their life. I've had a lot of great coaches. I've had business coaches. I've had people I've surrounded myself with that have helped me so much in a lot of different areas. And so again, started coaching like privately, started that type of business like 2009, 2010. Started to understand the business more in 2011, 2012. By the time like 2014, 2015 came around, that's when coaches started reaching out to me, like local coaches in my area, old teammates started seeing what I was doing on Facebook, and they were like, hey, I want to do that. And so I started to, like on the side, I started to teach people slowly how to start their business, how to get clients, how to literally copy what I was doing. And I saw enough people do that within a short period of time where I realized, man, there's gotta be more coaches out there that need help with this. And if you go back to my YouTube channel, you'll see the first upload I think I had was like 2015 or 2016. And I've uploaded like 1,100 videos since then. So I've spent, over a decade basically a decade of my life on YouTube, teaching people, showing how to grow the business, XYZ on YouTube. And we've developed a coaching program now that helps coaches just like you do this full time or go beyond full time, where they're making multiple six figures per year. And it's been an amazing thing that I've been able to do over the last, 15, 16 years of my life as far as coaching. And how I coach people now is different because I'm coaching adults with their business, and they are going and impacting more kids. But I wanted to share this video because I do think that at the end of the day, if you want to have a successful business, you have to have a real love of helping kids. And from my experience in this industry, not only doing it myself, but now coaching a lot of people and talking to a lot of people throughout the month, I see there's a lot of coaches out there that, they have a spark to create a business. They didn't get the spark of coaching kids because they love it. They want to go make money, and they think they're good at coaching, or they know they're good at coaching, but it's just purely money driven. And those are the types of people that come in, and then they come into the industry, they're in for a short period of time, and then they leave. And it's because I'm a big believer of this. If your heart is not in the right place, you will not make it. And it doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how good at business you are, how good you are at running ads. Like, if you don't love helping kids, this industry is going to eat you alive. And I have seen that happen to people that don't truly love it. And the people that I have coached and mentored, the coaches that are within this industry that have gone the furthest, the thing that I can honestly say about every single one of them, their hearts are not normal for coaching. Their hearts are huge. They love helping kids. Like, they don't want to do anything else with their life. That's what they want to do. They're clear. They're intentional with how they spend their day. They're really, really good at helping kids. They love doing that. And they have that within them. And they make a lot of money too. They make a lot of money because they're really good at what they do, and their heart is in the right place. But they did not start the business because they just want to make a lot of money, right? That's not why they started the business. They started the business because they genuinely like helping kids. They love it, and they have their heart in the right place. So hopefully this video helps you. You can see a little bit more about where I started, where I came from, how I got into the industry. But I always think, when someone asks me, how did I get into coaching, I always look back at those 3 experiences: when I was in high school, and then when I was in college. And just looking at what I really wanted to do deep down was have my own thing. I knew that from a very young age. So if you want to have your own thing, or you want to grow your own thing to a higher level, go down below this video. In the first link in the description, you go to my website, bennabers.com. You can click around, you can see what we do. And if you're the type of person that genuinely loves helping kids, I am your guy. If you're someone who just wants to make money and you don't like helping kids, I'm not your guy. That's it. Have a great day. See you later.